one of the things that happens is if you're going to truly start becoming more aware and more conscious in your life, what happens is you're going to have some really wonky days. I'm sorry, I'd love to tell you that you're not. I'd love to make it so you didn't have to. But what happens is all of those days, all of those times where you get sort of twisted and wonky and weird, it's because your reference points from the past are dissolving. The solid points of view you used to use to prop you up and define who you were and limit who you could be are actually going away. But what happens when your reference points go away, it can get really friggin' uncomfortable. Now, a lot of you have probably had a background in spirituality or metaphysics. One of the greatest traps of spirituality, easy for me to say, spirituality and metaphysics is the idea that you're supposed to feel good all the time. The way you know you're being spiritual is when you're happy all the time. The way you know you're doing your metaphysical practice right is when you feel good and in a Zen state all the time. You know what? I'm sorry, that's not actually possible to be that all the time if you're truly going to go for consciousness. The only way that you can have that feeling good all the time is by never changing and by never expanding into something greater. So what if that uncomfortableness is that solidity that used to define you and hold you down like concrete blocks chained to your legs, disappearing, and your willingness to have something different showing up and the space of you showing up, but it's totally uncomfortable because all of your points of view about comfortability and your reference points for you are based on your reference points of the past. As those start to go away, it opens up a space for something totally different as your future, but it can be really friggin' uncomfortable. So everything you've done to make you wrong for those uncomfortable days, or think you're going in the wrong direction when you get uncomfortable, will you now destroy and uncreate it, please? Times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Let me give you a different suggestion for this, okay? What I would suggest is asking, is this the change I've been asking for showing up in a totally different way than I thought it would? Is this the change I've been asking for showing up in a totally different way than I thought it would? Because what happens is when your way or your idea of how change is going to occur and what it's going to look like and what it's going to feel like is based on all your solid, fixed, limited points of view of the past, which is what you're asking to let go of. If you truly actually let those go, there's going to be this uncomfortable period, but here's what happens. If you don't resist it, you end up moving right on through it, and what you find at the other side of what you've been calling uncomfortable is a level of joy that was never possible before, a level of enthusiasm for living, a level of intensity of being, a level of spaciousness that was never possible from those old solid places that you just asked to let go of. So please don't make yourself wrong when it gets uncomfortable. Learn to surf through the uncomfortable. Ask, is this the change I've been asking for showing up in a totally different way than I thought it would? And how does it get any funner than this? And then what you want to do is you want to go all of my projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections about how this had to look, how it had to feel, what it had to be like, what it had to taste like, touch like, smell like, feel like. Destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, beyonds. And while you're at it, how about if you pock and pot everybody else's projections, expectations, separations, judgments, rejections about what it had to look like, touch like, taste like, feel like, smell like. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. If you do that, my friends, you will be free to surf the waves that currently seem uncomfortable, but that will allow a tsunami of change to run through your life as a tsunami of possibilities that will give you the awareness, the life, the living in the world you've been hoping for and asking for, but didn't know you had the courage to choose. Let me tell you one thing, you have the courage to choose it. And part of that courage is the willingness to surf what others see as too uncomfortable to go beyond. You have the courage, you have the capacity to do it. This is why so many people do not live lives of greatness and possibility, do not step into their total awareness and do not step into their total capacities, because for them, when it gets uncomfortable, they go back in the other direction. I'm begging of you, I'm pleading with you, have the awareness that this is what you've been asking for showing up, and run faster in the direction of your dreams, your desires, your awareness, and the life and living you would like to create, and the world you would like to be part of creating. Thank you so much for being on this planet. You are a gift, the likes of which this world has never seen and desperately requires. I look forward to our next time together. Thanks for being here at the Awareness Revolution. Until next time. Bye.